Let's have a look. Wow, this is a spicy one, alright. This is a golem horn. With a bunch of different interesting tools. Some of which is clearly due to not owning the cards, and others of which I think might just be interesting tech choices. So, starting with the minions, which is clearly the core part of this deck, we have I like the prediction of Rebuke. That would not surprise me at all. So we have Celebrant, Metallurgist, this is our early ramp package, together with one Kujata, Blazehound, Ragebinder, Spelljammer, so we've got another Golem and some card draw, Boulder Breacher as Golem kind of payoff, Lava Slasher, which is one of the best cards to ramp into in the mid game, Mechanical Warbeast, only one of, presumably for card ownership reasons more than anything else. This is exactly the sort of deck you want 3 Mechantals in the most. 2 copies of EMP, which I've always thought was a bit awkward in Varth, but fits Starhorn really well because it doesn't turn off your Bloodborne spell at all and you can flash it out really easily. And then finally, 3 copies of Juggernaut. That is a bold statement that I am a fan of. I think 3 Kujatas would make that a bit more natural, but we already have like Metallurgists, which can ramp it up as well because it is a Golem. So lots of ways to discount Juggernaut. This goes back to like the Nightmare turn 2 flash jug kind of days, right? Hey, Black Waltz. On the spell support side, we have 3 Flash Reincarnation, no surprises there. Entropic Gaze, presumably just for the cycling. We have a lot of symmetrical draw in this deck, together with Starhorn's Bloodborne spell, so I quite like that emphasis on like, I don't care if I draw you cards, I'm just going to play the most efficient cyclers I have access to. 3 Natural Selection, we need that. It's a bit awkward with Celebrant, but it does work still. Earth Sphere, we need that too. Plasma Storm, see previous comments. Fractal Replications, this is some more spice. This is clever because you can cast it on Boulder Breacher and re-trigger the bond. Or you can just cast it on a massive thing, of which we have a bunch. There's no Elucidator combo, but that's fine, that sucks anyway. And, of course, a copy of Saurian Finality, which I don't like as much. I see what I like. As a one-off, I think that's fine, but it can only ever get you to 4 attack, and this deck, least of all, really wants to be losing mana. I guess you can set up some ramp stuff to discount your future cards, play Saurian, and then still follow it up with a 7-drop, but it feels a bit awkward to me. And you're running 2 EMPs, so you can dispel the buff, back off yourself. I'm not sure I like the finality there. I think the Earth Spheres are enough healing. Fractal Rep on a Kujata, then flash out Jug at 9. That is how it works. I hope they did that at some point. That would be hilarious. So, in the sideboard, we have Greater Fortitude again. Lots of people seem to be sideboarding Fortitude. If I had to guess, like I said earlier, I think it's probably for tempo-y matchups. If they're spamming out stuff, you can just buff a Celebrant and start eating cards. 3 Lightbender, I'm a fan of that. I think stacking up tons of Dispel is quite valuable when you can afford to. Because, and there's another EMP as well. So if you're playing against Varth or like some Abyssian deck that's vulnerable to Dispel, you can just bring in 6 Dispels and be like, screw your Gravity Well, screw your Desolator, whatever, I'm just always going to have a Dispel for it. And just when your opponent thinks, alright, they've run out of Dispel now, bam, here's another one. So I actually like that a lot. Excuse me. 1 Thumping Wave, I think that would be fine in the main deck, especially over the Saurian Finality. Thumping gives you a lot of burst potential, and you've got like ways to discount Mechanto, so you can play Thumping Wave alongside it. 1 Thunderhorn, I guess that's just for extra AoE. 1 Plasma Storm, definitely for extra AoE. And as I mentioned earlier, EMP. I think this is quite a solid sideboard. I'm not sure what the best like anti-aggro tools you have are. Like, I'd be tempted to just put in some Azza Heralds. Against aggro, you can cut Entropic Gaze easily, and maybe some of the other symmetrical draw. So you have room, and the thing you want most is like healing, right? Because you're going to draw them to their burst. You're going to give them time to find their cards, as well as helping them dig. So I think more than anything else, you need extra healing against aggro. And you have lots of, like, the Juggernauts you don't need as many of against Face and stuff, right? On the other side of the table, we have... keep doing this. CalebTenrou's deck. This is another Starhorn list, but this one's focused on Decimus. Wow, I think this is our first, like, fully non-budget list. Actually, I'm not sure about Colossus's, but this is definitely, like, a tight, streamlined list that doesn't look like it's missing anything at a first glance. So we have a similar Golem package to the last one, but just the lightweight Golem package that a lot of decks run. That is Metallurgist, Ragebinder, and Lava Slasher. And basically all it does is it's not a tribal deck or anything. It just lets you have broken openings where you turn 1 Metallurgist, Ragebinder, or turn 1 Metallurgist, Flash Lava Slasher, or whatever, going second. Or, going first, turn 1 Metallurgist, turn 2 Slasher, kill their thing on the middle mana tile. Like, playing Lava Slasher on turn 1 or 2 is just generally one of the most broken things you can do in the game. The amount of tempo you get off it and the imposing size of Lava Slasher makes it very difficult for your opponent to come back from that. Backing all that up, we have Young Silithar and Azza Herald as extra 2-drops. And Tegete is an extra 4-drop, which I like. I think Tegete is enjoying a bit of a resurgence right now. And, the card works. Like, obviously, being nerfed from 3-5 to 3-4 is a big deal. And in non-bows with the Plasma Storm, but you're only playing 1 copy of Storm, so that's kind of alright. And anything to just get extra damage on your opponent's face while trading with their stuff is great in a deck like this. I'm a big fan of the inclusion of Azza Herald. Not a big fan of the exclusion of Earthsphere. I think the Herald is not quite enough to do that by itself, especially with only 2 copies. Like, Desohorn is fast, but it's not that fast, right? But I do like it. It's cheap. You can dump your hand more quickly than you can with Earthsphere, with Azza Herald. And it just helps you contest mono tiles, contest the board. Silithar, much the same, it's just a handy 2-drop. Decimus is obviously our combo piece. Decimus, for those unaware, goes with Starhorn's Bloodborne spell, Entropic Gaze, and Tectonic Spikes to deal the opponent a bunch of damage. The common combo is Decimus plus Spikes for 9 out-of-hand damage, but it gets nutty when you start, flashing Decimus, and you can go, like, on 6 mana, flash Decimus, Bloodborne spell to deal them 11 and stuff. It's a powerful, flexible combo that also works when you just play Decimus on turn 2 and hope they don't kill it. And sometimes they don't kill it, and then you win. And then topping it off, we have Mecantor, which is obviously a source of burst, a source of removal. Fantastic card, one of the best in the game. And Mandrake, which is commonly seen in Starhorn decks as another way to make use of drawing a ton of crap cards and spamming them into play. It's very easy to get a Mandrake on the cheap. And it's a nice way to keep emptying your hand and keep cycling through your deck while also playing minions that are big enough to contest the stage of the game you're in, like when you're in the late game. Forgive me for I have sinned, was very lazy this time and just put up Death Spikes, not very interesting at all. That is fine, I've spent a bunch of time playing this deck. I actually like it. I have nuanced opinions on the design of Death Spikes from like counterplay's perspective, and I think it's like an interesting deck to have in the game, as well as Starhorn in general. So I'm fine with it. you can do that. Finally, the rest of the stuff we haven't covered. I mentioned Flash Decimus earlier, but also it's really good with Slasher, Warbeast, etc. And you can Flash Mandrake in a pinch. One thing that you do in this deck, more than you'd expect, is Flash Young Silithar. You don't tend to do it on curve, but you're just emptying your hand, right? You want to make space to cycle through your deck with Tectonic Spikes. And both Flash and Silithar are like pretty non-essential cards, especially in the late game. So you just want to make sure there's space in your hand so that you can draw the cards you're trying to find. Especially if you're trying to kill your opponent and don't have everything you need yet. You need to dig with the spikes, the first spikes, on making room for the cards you're actually going to draw. So things like Flash Silithar or Flash Metallurgist are actually quite useful. You could also play Flash before playing the spell, and then get the bonus from it afterwards. Excuse me. Or did they change that with the nerf? They might have changed that with the nerf. We have Greater Fortitude as a 2-of. I think that's a very comfortable place to have Greater Fortitude. Where, you don't always need it, but it is nice to have. It helps you get in damage, like buffing a Silithar and going face is great. In a deck like this that doesn't care about card economy very much. It helps you fight for board, which is good because you don't play a lot of removal. This is not a control deck. And it's not strictly an aggro deck, so anything that helps you just make tempo plays is good for such a low cost. We have Natural Selection, which is great removal. And we have Plasma Storm, which is obviously one of the better AoEs in the game. There's not much I'd change about this. I would put in more healing. I think 2 Azure Heralds isn't enough. Tagetes into Plasma Storm is kind of awkward, so I might shave her. Another thing you can do with this is like... So I played a version of this deck that had Sphinx and more draw, like Blazehounds and stuff. It works really well. You just troll people to death, it's great. So that's an option, but that's not the tier 1 version, so I can hardly blame anyone for not doing that. Looking at the sideboard, we have the Greater Fortitude again. Everyone seems to love these sideboard Greater Fortitudes. I don't know, again, I guess tempo matchups. The third Azure Herald, good. That's very good. Grow, I guess that's also for tempo decks. I'm not sure that Grow does enough that you'd really want it over, like, I guess real cards maybe is the way of putting it. Like, you want your sideboard to be full of cards that just wreck people when you play them. So Lightbender, Earth Sphere, Thunderhorn, like EMP counter cards, or ways to tune up your deck and curve in a meaningful way. And I feel like Grow, although it's kind of a good card, it's like, it's just a random 2-drop. I think if you're going to put in, if you want to make the deck more explosive, you could probably play Celebrant. It's a golem, so it fits with the golem synergy aspect of the deck. It helps ramp you, so it helps you get to your combo faster and helps you get to your 4 and 5 drops faster. It effectively only costs 1 mana, so it helps you empty your hand. And it carries a Greater Fortitude like a pro. Blood Rage, I guess that's a transformational alternate combo. That card's a bit awkward without stuff to do with it, so I guess it helps if you've got a board and they've got a board and you make a bunch of trades and then play Blood Rage. But since you're not packing things like Catalyst, Quill Beast, or I guess Spirit Harvester doesn't really work, does it? But yeah, mainly Quill Beast and things like that, these mass damage effects. Blistering Scorn is another one. The Blood Rage is a lot worse. Plasma Storm, absolutely, that is a sideboard staple in Magma decks and deserves a slot. Possibly even 2 slots. Homeostatic Rebuke's another good sideboard card. Like, it kills a lot of your own stuff, but not, most of it does have toughness higher than power. And you have cute plays like Tagetes Rebuke to hit your opponent for 3. I did that the other day, it worked. Alright, let's go. Looking at Caleb's hand, this is pretty lovely. We have one of the best turn 1s in the game. We have a largely unnecessary Flash Reincarnation here, but it's quite good in the matchup because you're both going to be drawing each other cards quite a bit. Flash Tagetes is not hugely exciting to me, but it can be used as removal in a pinch. The selections are right here. You've got a bunch of trading power with Ragebinder Golem, so you're not really worried about killing small stuff. And the Metallurgist prevents the selection from killing big stuff, so I might be tempted to replace this to help look for combo pieces and burst card draw in general. I want to hold on to this for like War Beast. Maybe the Tagetes is replaceable. It is a really nice thing to just play on turn 2 though, so I probably want to keep these 4 cards as a hedge. It does make it less likely that you're going to get something that pays off the Flash Reincarnation, but you've got such a strong turn 1 that even if you have a crap hand after that, it's like, well, whatever, you've got a few turns to make up for it. That's it, play. Replace just the Flash. That's understandable. So Bulik, something seems to have gone wrong with the replay. Oh, it's just lagging. Let me just pause this one to let Bulik's replay catch up. Let me see. So it's Caleb's turn. Oh, the Bulik's one is way far behind. Something's gone wrong with the synchronization. I'm just going to pause this and let the other one catch up. Alright. We're on. So here comes the Dream Opening with the Ragebinder down. Bulik's hand is looking pretty top-heavy here. That is a really awkward draw. And you're basically forced to play it as well, which sucks. Fortitude would be a nice draw here, but I don't think Bulik had it in the main. Milling Flash is awkward as well, given that. Oh, that's really unfortunate for Bulik. Unlucky. Caleb's still doing well here. Oh my god. Lava Slasher down. Killing the 4-3, and we get to push a bunch of face damage and surround the opponent. I think I would just attack with everything to the face here. GG. Yeah, this is basically over. I mean, it's not necessarily, like, Flash Macanto does a fair bit of work here. Don't know if I like replacing the Taigete there, but yeah, we've got enough stuff to spam out. It works, I guess. So Bulik gets at least to draw a card for free, except that their hand's also full, so it doesn't help anything. Killing the Metallurgist is good. Playing their own... yeah. Okay, so we get to draw a card for free here, basically. Or at least get 2 damage in and cycle a card for free. Flash. Flash is a great draw. Bulik can play Lava Slash here into Flash Juggernaut and hope that's good enough. This Lava Slash is probably going to go face here. The Fortitude is a pretty sick draw for Caleb, though, because as well as Bulik's hand being full, Caleb can now buff up a unit and then play Seeking Eye to draw a card for free. I'm not going to go for that. They're just going to play the Ragebinder? No, I think I like the Fortitude more. I like buffing this and attacking. Okay. This is fine. So this gives Bulik some room because this Lava Slasher now dies to Bulik's Lava Slasher, allowing Bulik to run away. But it does put them down to... they're still going to 2 on board because they won't be able to avoid any of the units, I think. I guess, actually, it's not that bad because the Lava Slasher can block enough space that the units kind of trip over themselves trying to get in. Although Bulik can't really retreat to a place where they can take damage from 2 of these and not 3. I like playing the Slasher more centrally. That gives a little bit of hope for board control in this direction, giving a bit more room to retreat instead of playing the Slasher over here where it can be moved away from. Bulik's hand's still looking pretty awkward, but Flash Juggernaut takes up a lot of space on the table. I think Caleb probably has the lethal here, though. Yeah, Fortitude plus Spikes is GG. Or Fortitude plus Gaze. Do it. Do it now. Yeah. Well, that was pretty rough. Unlucky for Bulik. They got a really clunky hand in a matchup that's all about speed and efficiency. Like, in Starhorn versus Starhorn is always super weird because you build your deck to handle a certain amount of card draw and no more. And so when your opponent's drawing you cards as well, suddenly it becomes this weird, like, this weird battle of who can mill the other person the most. And it gets pretty awkward at times. Like, it's entertaining, but it's awkward, you know? We went through them second last time, so let's go in the same order. So this is Bulik's list. Definitely want the Fortitudes in this matchup, because tempo is important, spamming cards out of your hand is important. Those are both powerful things. Lightbender's okay. It might be worth bringing it in if you've got cuts to make. Like, Blazehound and Spelljammer are probably not worth playing in the mirror. So those are easy cuts to start with. Plasma Storm might work. Like, it would have been okay against the stuff that Bulik actually saw, but that's partly because Caleb just had a hand that was full of cheap golems. Like, Caleb drew a lot of Metallurgists and Ragebinders and not much else that Bulik actually saw in play. So the Plasma Storm probably looks tempting, but is a bit of a trap. Thumping Wave's good because it gets rid of Decimus, but Bulik didn't see that. Can't really make any assumptions. Like, Caleb played mostly cards that are also in Bulik's deck. Thunderhorn is okay for board contesting, and it's hard to get rid of. Most Starhorns play very little removal. just naturals and a couple of thumping waves. So an unanswered Thunderhorn is not too unlikely. And you can bring in Thunderhorn plus T-Wave for the 1-more combo in the late game. In terms of cuts, I would want to shave a Juggernaut, shave an EMP, maybe 2, and shave the card draw, and just rely on the fact that Caleb's going to be helping. So you want to lower the curve, take out some of the bombs, take out some of the clunk, and take out some of your own draw, so that you can be the one playing the gas while your opponent does the work of drawing your cards. From Caleb's side, much the same really. We want Greater Fortitude. Caleb might make the assumption that the opponent's playing Desert Spikes and therefore wants the Azure Herald, which is a pretty reasonable thing to do, and it's hardly bad to have more cheap cards to put down. We don't really see anything that could provoke the Plasma Storm coming in. Blood Rage, I guess, is like a decent way to go over the top, potentially in the mirror, but it looked like that particular game was so aggressive that I can imagine Caleb not really feeling it was necessary. Like, I don't know how much you're meant to expect Bulik had a bad hand, and how much you're meant to expect Bulik just had a slower deck in the matchup. So I can imagine just bringing in the Fortitude and the Herald, or I can imagine chucking in a Blood Rage as well, probably just one, to act as an additional way to wreck your opponent after you've both drawn each other a bunch of gas. Looking at Caleb's hand again. Turn 1 Metallurgist, turn 2 Flash Mercantor sounds great. That does actually counter your opponent doing the Metallurgist Ragebinder thing. And trades 2 for 2 on cards, if that matters. And you've also got a Spikes to help find further gas, and a Fortitude to put on the Mercantor if your opponent gives you access to another mana tile or a way that might communicate. Like, you can go turn 1, move forward, play Metallurgist downright. Turn 2, Metallurgist to mana tile, move upwards, Mercantor on the top mana tile, Greater Fortitude it, and kill. But then I guess you can't reach the egg, so maybe you wouldn't want to do that. Either way, this seems like a great hand, and I'd be tempted to keep the lot. The Spikes is the only potential replace, because you don't have any synergy with it, and you don't need the card draw in the mirror so much, because you'll both be doing it. But let's see how this pans out. I think there's a lot of different potential mulligans you can make with this hand that are valid and worthwhile. Just keeping an eye on the other window to make sure the timing lines up alright. Yeah, we're good. Nailed it. Yeah, that Mandrake's an easy replace. That's a good draw, but I think given you've got a Lava Slasher as well, the Metallurgist is still the play. This does die to natural selection, unlike the Silithar, but the upside is so much higher. So much higher. That said, you kind of do want to bait them into playing minions here. Oh, and Bulik actually has the Dream Opening as well. In the money, but doesn't go for it. Interesting. That's a very strange play. It's odd, because actually that works out better, because Caleb has the Flash Mercantor to punish the double Golem opening. So I guess this is setting up for future draws, and it actually looks like it's paid off for Bulik because he's drawn a Lava Slasher. I say they've drawn a Lava Slasher. And it's pretty excellent for Caleb though. Take 2 mana tiles, Lava Slasher down. Like, this is why everyone plays Golden Metallurgist. Like, there's basically no coming back from this. Lava Slash is such a harsh card. Flash Warbeast though, that is good. It's not quite. I mean, I guess you can send it this way and clear these and leave the Lava Slasher alive. Yeah, that's what they're doing. It's awkward because the Silithar's egg transform means that if you want to kill the Slasher with it, you have to leave the egg up and vice versa. So Caleb now drawing cards. This is good. Both players have at least managed to put some space in their hands. Oh god, that's a good draw. It's a bit awkward if Bulik has natural selection though, because Caleb doesn't have any follow-up. But I think we're going to see a Spikes here. This is a very advantageous position to Spikes in. I like the trading damage. No spikes. Oh, did I miscount Caleb's mana? Oh, I did miscount Caleb's mana. There was some lag on the display. Yeah, there's the natural selection. And I think we're going to see a Ragebinder now. I hope so, anyway. No! That's a very greedy play, Bulik. That is bold. What are you digging for? I wonder if maybe it's the same thing that we talked earlier about one of the other players holding on to Saurian Finality in order to, I presume, I'm putting words in people's mouths here, but in order to presumably get value out of the healing. And maybe we're saying the same thing with Bulik here, not willing to play out the 3-4 because they're trying to get more value out of the healing. Which again, like the tempo, like you'll heal way more by having a 3-4 in play that can fight your opponent's stuff or block off space than you will by playing it and getting value off the trigger. Is this a flash lava slasher into... Oh, flash EMP, interesting. I mean, that seems fine. Just make it big, dude. I don't know if playing it here is a good idea. I would probably have played it there, because this way, if Caleb has a Mercantor, which they do, they can actually kill the EMP. If they have flash Mercantor... Oh, and they can also trade the thing in a natural selection, whereas here, the Golem Metaler just blocks off the natural selection, which is probably more important. Yeah, so that plays into Mercantor and natural, which is a bit awkward. I can understand wanting to put it where it dominates more of the board, but allowing your opponent to trade in there is pretty disastrous. And here comes a Ragebinder. Caleb is wisely trading damage here. I think that's a good idea. When you're ahead on board and life and tempo is making those attacks, like you have to count to make sure your opponent can't Death spikes you to death. It's worth thinking about, like, if they have flash spikes, Bloodborne spell, can they kill me? But on 13, Caleb's pretty safe. Bulik is finally playing out one of the Ragebinders, getting some healing done. Seems good. So that's a pretty big swing turn, actually, for Bulik. I think I would have preferred to see the draw first. It always helps to, if you draw earlier in your turn, if you know you've got a play that will allow you to, it gives you more information. Like if you draw something that might change your decision. Oh, that Mercantor's brutal. Youch. That's not good. There is the natural selection as an answer. But Bulik's now very much in the danger zone. Flash as a Herald. That is a good play. I really like this line for a couple of reasons. So, the biggest one is it avoids natural selection. No, don't put it there. Oh no! Okay, it no longer avoids natural selection. The other reason that, like, this is still not a terrible thing to do, because the other thing is that it opens up space in your hand for the spikes. Now, you could flash this the following turn. Actually, this is pretty awkward, because if Bulik has a Mercantor, they can play it here. Hitting the Azza Herald so that Caleb can't hit it with Starhorn to make up for the... to clear it. So, because it'd be a 4-3. So actually, I really don't like playing it there. Although I guess no matter where you put it, it's going to have that issue. There's no actual way to position a War Beast unless you move... Maybe you can move down here and then attack the egg and then position it there, which does play around that. Should have played Lava Slasher into Ragebinder, maybe. I'm not sure which turn they were talking about there, Argid. And yeah, the Mercantor makes the clear. Come on, Caleb, don't BM. Just attack. There we go. I said that a bunch of turns ago. Oh, sure. Okay, Caleb takes the match 2-0. We've seen a lot of landslide matches here. I think that's partly for two reasons. One of them is we've seen a couple of swarm matchups. Bulik misplayed. They tried to natural selection the Mercantor after summoning the Golem. Oh, that makes sense. That's okay. We've all done that. I've definitely done that before. Yeah, we've seen Swarm decks get wrecked by good AoE with no real way of coming back. Not much card draw. And in that case, we saw a matchup between two quite aggressive kind of cycle through my deck-ish decks that, one was faster and the other was slower, and that made a big difference. And we also, I think, definitely in each game, we've seen the person who made the overall tighter plays take the victory, which is not a massive surprise. Duelyst is quite a skill-demanding game. There's a lot to learn. There's a lot to learn on both sides. It's not a criticism of anyone who won or lost. But I definitely thought Caleb played that matchup more crisply. I think there's a couple of things both players could have done better. I think in retrospect, the Flash Aether Herald, I guess it wasn't that bad. Like, I think moving across the square and then playing the Aether Herald where Bulik couldn't play a Mercantor that attacked both the Herald and the 6/4 Mercantor would have been optimal. I expected Warbase didn't see a way to play safely. Forgot about the natural selection. No worries. That's fine. This is why we do this, right? Like, every time I upload videos, sometimes I watch them just to check they're alright, or while I'm editing, and I'm like, oh my god, that play was terrible. What am I doing? Like, was I half asleep? Like, it's okay. Everyone makes mistakes, so don't feel bad or anything. I think it's just really interesting and important to go over this stuff.